Hey everybody, how's it going? Today, what we're going to do is create word clouds with the help of the Newspaper3k library. The Newspaper3k library is a Python library that makes scraping web articles incredibly easy. It's based on the requests library and it uses beautiful soup as well. And in only a couple lines of code, it can scrape for such things as the publish date, the author. You can get the summary, the full text, keywords, image and video data, and much more. The thing is that I've actually done a video and I've written an article on the Newspaper3k library. So if you are interested, head to the link below and you'll get a much better introduction to the Newspaper3k library before we go ahead and get started. So what we're going to do is create a word cloud from a series of news articles. And the cool thing about word clouds, I guess you can say, is it's a useful way to visualize text data. Rather than having to look at a graph or having to look at maybe some sort of chart, it's a bit more of a creative way to visualize text data to see the most used words are, say, in a text, or maybe you're taking a survey or trying to find opinions and you wanted to visualize the results in some sort of way. Word clouds can be incredibly helpful. So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to scrape articles from the web, and then we're going to use Jupyter notebooks and matplotlib, I guess you could say, to help us create a word cloud that will be pretty cool to make, I guess. Okay, so let's begin. Since there's so much news today about the United States and Afghanistan and whatnot, I've decided to make that our main topic for news today. So what we're going to do is we're going to take RSS feeds from 6 news sources. We're going to collect the article links from them. And then what we're going to do is scrape each of those articles for the keywords and text and store all of that into a CSV file. And then once we have the CSV file stored, we're going to go ahead and create our word cloud. To begin with, we'll just do a simple word cloud from one article, and then we'll do a word cloud from all of the articles, and then we'll get a little bit creative at the end, and we'll make a word cloud in the shape of the American flag. So we're going to run this from Jupyter rather than our code editor. I mean, you can run it from your code editor if you want, that's fine as well. I just decided to use Jupyter only because we're doing data analysis and all of the code can be kind of somewhat compartmentalized. Now, before we begin, make sure to set up a virtual environment in the folder in which you're going to be running the code from. If you don't know how to do that, go back to the link that I had I believe it was my second slide. And in the video, towards the beginning of the video there, I actually show you how to set up a virtual environment and how to run one, whether or not you're on Mac, Linux, or Windows. So go ahead and open up your virtual environment in your folder, and if you've yet to install Jupyter, you can simply do it by a pip install, so just pip install Jupyter. I needed to install Notebook 1 as well, simply because I didn't get these buttons on the side when I installed Jupyter. So go ahead and install it, and then once that's installed, we can go ahead and start up Jupyter by typing in Jupyter Notebook, and then it will give you a link. Usually it'll be to your local host. Usually it's going to be port 8888. Go ahead and open up that link, and we can go ahead and begin our code. Now, before we begin our code, make sure you have these libraries installed. You're going to need Beautiful Soup. You're going to need Newspaper. You're going to need Word Cloud. And we're going to need these 3 libraries as well. They can all be installed simply just by typing in pip install and then whatever one of these you need. So let's go ahead and begin our code. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to import the necessary the necessary libraries to import and extract the article data. So let's go ahead and import requests. And then from BS4, we are going to import Beautiful Soup. And from newspaper, we are going to import article. And then finally, we're going to need CSV as well, since we're going to be writing to a CSV file. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to scrape each link in each RSS feed. But first we need the feeds. So I actually saved them, but we are going to store all the feeds in a list, and you can go ahead and just copy these. So we're going to get news from NBC News, we're going to get it from The Guardian, RT, ABC News, CBS News, and the New York Times. I decided to throw in a couple foreign news sources, I don't know, just to see what foreigners are saying about the United States. So I'm just going to click this little run button. So now that we have our list of feeds, what we now need to do is extract the article links. So we are going to store all of the article links into a list. So I'm going to just call that articles, and I'm going to set up an empty list here. And then for feed and feeds, we're going to do response equals requests dot get feed. And just to make sure that everything is working okay, that we're able to access the RSS feeds, let's just print the response code very quickly, or the status code of the responses very quickly, and make sure that every feed is giving us a 200. So let's go ahead and run this quick. Okay, excellent. So we're all okay. So we're getting all 200s. No. So let's go ahead and continue. Now we need to create a beautiful soup object, but first we need to do this. Web page equal to response.content. And then we go ahead and create the soup object. And we can set the features equal to XML, since RSS feeds are written in XML code. Now I'm going to show you a quick RSS feed here. If it loads, there we go. So all the RSS feeds, they're written in the same standard format. This way a content aggregator such as, let's say, Flipboard, it can take any RSS feed at once, and it can get the RSS feed in the exact same way. It doesn't have to modify the search method based on the news feed it looks for. All the RSS news feeds are the same. So in every item tag in these RSS feeds is going to be all the data for one article. So every RSS feed is going to have a whole bunch of items set up, and in each of these items is going to have all the article data. So what we want to do is in each item we want to be able to find the link. So let's go ahead and find all the items, and then we're going to find the link in each item. So let's get back to our code. And we're going to set items. We're going to find all the items, so we're going to set that equal to items. So items is equal to soup.findAll. And then simply item. Very simple. And then we are going to get the link from each of those item tags. So for item in items, we are going to create a variable called link and store the link in that variable. So link will be equal to item.find, and then it's going to be link, and then we need to extract the text from it. So it is done just like that. And then we're going to take that link and append it, add it to the articles list. And we just do it simply by typing articles.append link. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this. It should take a second. There we go. now just to make sure that everything ran correctly, let's just print, let's print the length of the articles. So I got about, when I was doing this before, I got about 340. So there we go. Okay, good. This should be working. If you want to see the list itself, we can print the whole thing out. And as you see, you get a whole bunch of lists here. So there we go. All right, great. So now that we have the list, or excuse me, the links from every article, we now need to extract the data from them. So we are going to use the newspaper library, and we are going to start by setting another list, and I'm just going to call this data. And in this list, we are going to store the URL, the keywords, and the text from each article. So it's going to be a list of lists, really. And by keywords, I mean you can say the most important words in the article. Newspaper3k is able to find these certain keywords, and I will show you how to find them in a second. But it's able to find them, and it stores those keywords in a list. So we are now going to extract the data from the articles. So for URL, I'm going to call it in articles, since every element in the articles list is a link, I'm just going to call it URL. We are now going to create an article object. So I'm just going to call this info is equal to article.url. So this puts the newspaper library to work. And now what we're going to do is download all the data from the article and extract whatever we need using the library. First, we need to type in info.download and then info.parse. And then in order to extract the main keywords, we need to use natural language processing. So we need to type in this as well. And let's continue here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to extract the keywords in the text. And the great thing about the Newspaper3k library is it allows you to do this in only a line of code, really. So we're going to get the keywords. And all we have to do is type in keywords is equal to info.keywords. And we now have the keywords, and same for the text. Text is equal to info.text. So now that we have all the data we need, we have the URL for the article, we have the keywords, and we have the text. So we are going to save that into its own list. And I'm just going to call this, I don't know, save. And we are going to store the URL, the keywords, and the text. And now what we're going to do is we are going to store this list of the data into data, which is then going to go into our CSV file, which we're going to save. So data.append save. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and run this, and this will take about 5 minutes, but hold on. Info.download. There we go. This will take about 5 minutes, but we're going to go ahead and continue coding while this runs. So what we're going to do is we're going to write all this data once it is received into a CSV file. So I'm going to use a with statement. I'm going to use with open, and you can call this whatever you want. I'm just going to call it my CSV .csv. Oh, excuse me. And we're going to write to that. And we're going to save that. I'm going to call it CSV file. And the first thing we need to do is, since we're going to save it to a CSV file, is we need to set the labels for each of the columns. So I'm going to create a variable called label, and it's going to be a list. And we're going to give it the names of each of the columns. So the first column, we'll just call it URL. Next column, we'll call it keywords. And the last column, we'll just call it text. Very simple. And now that we have the column labels, we can go ahead and write to our CSV. So the first thing we need to do is we need to set up the CSV writer. I'm just going to call this writer, set it equal to csv.writer, and it's going to write to CSV file. And so the first thing we need to write to the file is the headers or the label. So let's go ahead and write that label in. So we're going to do writer.writeRow, and it will be label. And then we are going to write the data into the CSV. So we can do it by typing this. So writer.writeRows. And then this will be the data once it is done collecting. And then we'll go ahead and close the file. Okay, so this section of the code here is still running. We'll go ahead and wait for that, and we'll just continue coding. So let's go ahead and now, and what we're going to do is we're going to import the libraries necessary to create our word cloud. So we are going to import pandas first, because we need to create a pandas data frame as PD. And then we need the word cloud library. So from word cloud, going to import word cloud. And we're going to import stop words. And what stop words is it's a built-in list of really unnecessary words that kind of just add clutter to the word cloud. For example, the, wouldn't. I'll show you the list. I'll show you the list once we go ahead and use it. You'll be able to visualize it much better. But they're pretty much just useless words that aren't really necessary for the word cloud. And to be able to see the word cloud, we actually have to use matplotlib in order to do that. So we're going to import that as well. So import matplotlib dot pyplots as plt. And let's go ahead and import. Let's go ahead and import NumPy as well. Actually, you know what? We're going to need this for later. I might as well just import this now since we're waiting. I'm also going to import image color generator. This will be necessary in order to create a word cloud in the same colors as the American flag. We're going to need to import that. And then let's import NumPy quickly. So import NumPy as NP. Okay, so the program's still running. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and continue. As I said, this usually takes about 5, maybe even 10 minutes, so I don't see why we need to pause. We can just go ahead and keep writing and then run the rest of this once this is over. So let's go ahead and keep writing. So what we need to do is first create a data frame, and we are going to do it like this. So it's going to be df for data frame is equal to pd for pandas, and the first thing we need to do is we need to read the data from the CSV file. So it will be pd.read CSV, and we are going to read my CSV.csv. And then we are going to add an argument. It's going to be converters. So converters, and I'll show you why in a second here, is equal to a dictionary. We're going to need converters for the keywords column. So it will be, actually it's got to be capital. Keywords, and then eval. Okay. Okay, good. This is done finally. All right. So, you know what? You're going to see in a second, because we've written this code, whether or not this has worked. So let's go ahead and run this now. Let's go ahead and save to our file, which has done. Now let's import these libraries. Wait for this to finish. There we go. And then let's run this cell. Okay, excellent. And you know what? Nah, we'll do this. So just to let's see now what we have here. Let's make sure that we have all the data we need. So we're going to print df.shape, and let's go ahead and run this. It should have the same number of articles as we had before. Yes, it does. And we can also see excuse me, we can also see all the data organized into rows and columns just by typing in df.head. And here we go. So we have so we can at least see the first 5 rows, and we have everything we need. So everything's ready to go. Now, just to explain here, the reason why we are doing this is because when we had saved to the CSV file, what it did was it took this list and it saved it as one big string rather than a list. So so what we needed to do was we needed to kind of reconvert the list of keywords, which was saved as a string, back into a list. And this variable here is any function we wish to use. We can use like a lambda or something. But in this case I used eval, and for the very simple reason, and I'm going to show you. So eval is a function that evaluates a large string. So if I typed in, for example, eval, but it's got to be, you have to put the information as a string. So for example, evaluate 2 plus 3. Actually, I should put that in a print here. What it's going to do is it's going to take the string away and it's going to print 2 plus 3. So if we print it out, you get 5. So if I put a list in here, let's just call it 1, 2, 3. This technically is a string, but if we go ahead and run this, it turns it into a list. So instead of, if we analyze the data as in this column as one big string, excuse me, it would be kind of annoying to have to go through each. We'd have to get rid of each comma, get rid of each bracket here, because it needs, to generate a word cloud, it needs everything to just be one big long big text. So we needed to turn everything into a string, into a list. And now that we've done that, we can now go ahead and create our word cloud. So let's start with one article first, just so you have a gist, just so you can get the gist of what we're doing here. Let's just create a variable. We'll call it text is equal to df.text, and we'll just pick any random article. I'm just going to pick article 177 here. We'll take the text because if we use the keywords, it would be, I don't know, you wouldn't really get too much information out of it. So I'm just going to print the URL in case you are wondering what the article might be about. So let's go ahead and run that. Let's see here. Oh, that's right. Try again. Okay, excellent. So, here's our article, and now let's go ahead and create the word cloud from the article. So what we're going to do is we're going to set our stop words first, and we're going to set that equal to stop words, and it's going to be equal to set stop words. Now, if you'd like, you can add stop words to this, and it may be useful. So let's actually add a couple extra stop words just so you see how this works. So we're going to do it like this: stop words dot update. And if you're going to put more than one word in here, it's going to need to be in some sort of it can be in a list, it can be in a tuple, it could be in a set. It really doesn't matter, just as long as it's in some sort of organized data set here. And we're just going to, let's make it a list just for sake of argument here. And let's see, we're going to put in RT, we'll put in Guardian. We'll just put in all the names of the news sources, that way nothing gets cluttered. ABC, NBC, CBS, and New York Times. And if you want to see what this looks like, let's go ahead and print the stop words. Okay, so now you get to see what the stop words actually are. And yeah, so now we see we have New York Times inserted. Let's see, we have RT. So everything's inserted now. You can add whatever words you like. So let's go ahead and make our word cloud. So what we need to do is we need to set a word cloud variable. So we'll call it word cloud. And we're going to create a word cloud object. It's equal to word cloud. And we're going to include the stop words. And since it's only one article, let's give it a max words, a maximum amount of words, and we'll just set that equal to, I don't know, 50 or something. And yeah, we'll just leave it like that. And then we need to add this as well at the end. And we're going to generate it from the text. So just to show you what the text needs to look like, I guess I'll go ahead and print this as well. So maybe instead of that, just print this. So here you go, here's the text of the article. And this is how it needs to look like in order for the word cloud to be generated. So let's go ahead and finish the code, and we get to see the word cloud. So we need to use matplotlib. So we're going to type in PLT since this was what I had. Let's see. I had imported it as I had imported matplotlib as PLT. So plt.figure, and we'll just leave it like this. And then we need to type this in, plt.imshow. And we need to see the word cloud. And since we don't need any access, we can just turn this off. And now let's go ahead and see the word cloud. Okay, and there you go. So we have our word cloud. Let's go ahead and change the background color, since it's a little bit difficult to maybe see some of these words, especially the smaller ones that are in purple. So let's go ahead and create background equals, or background color, excuse me. is equal to, and we'll set that equal to white. Make sure that works. Good. And we can also increase the size, so let's go ahead and do that by typing in fig size is equal to, let's just use tens here. Just to let you know, I'm not much of a data scientist here, so I'm trying the best I can. Okay, there we go. So we have a bigger word cloud. So as you can guess, in the state of Tennessee, I don't know if you're from America, Tennessee is a state, it's one of the states of the United States, so there's something going on in Tennessee. It looks like there's lots of rain and a flood. So that's kind of the cool thing about these word clouds, is that it can basically just collect the keywords from an article and you'll be able to pretty much figure out what the article is about without even having to read it. It's very efficient. So now that we know how to make a basic word cloud from one article, let's go ahead and make a word cloud of all the articles. Now, instead of using the text, we're going to use the keywords instead, since that will be maybe a little bit easier. Now, the first thing we need to do is we need to make one big list of all of the keywords, which means that we have to go through each list of keywords and add all the keywords and make one big list from them. So we're going to have to use a little Python foo, I guess you can say. And we can do this very easily with a one-liner. So I am going to create a variable called keywords, and what we're going to do is this: J for I, and I'll explain in a second here, J for I in dataframe.keywords for J and I. What this does is it joins all of the keywords. It takes all the list of keywords and makes one big list from them. So it looks for in every, what am I saying? Yeah, so it loops through every list, and then it takes each individual keyword and it makes one big list out of it. So we can do it with that very simple one-liner. Now what we need to do is we need to take all those keywords out of a list and make it into one big text, and make it into one big long text, similar to this article here. And we do it by just doing a simple join method. So we'll just we'll set this equal to text, and we'll do this dot join, and then I for I in keywords. Bear with me here a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and just print this out just so you can see what's going in. And so we have all the keywords now, and they've all been neatly organized all into one long string of text. So now we can go ahead and make our word cloud from this. So just to make this look a little bit cleaner, I'm going to get rid of that. Okay. We don't need it there. Okay, so the code's going to be pretty much just the same as we had it here. So let's go ahead and create the word cloud. So just like before, set stop words. Actually, you know what? Since we already have the stop words set up here, we can just kind of carry that over into this cell. So let's go ahead and just go and create the word cloud. So we'll do this. And we'll set the max words to be 100 this time. You can set it to whatever you wish. And just like before, we'll set the background color equal to white. And I'm going to set the collocations equal to false. What this does is it will make sure that there aren't any, say, two-word words that show up in the word cloud. We will only just get single words rather than phrases potentially. And that's what this does. So now that that's set, just type this in at the end. And, you know, just the same as before, we can go ahead and copy this and paste. There we go. And now, just wait a second here. And now we have our word cloud. So, you know what? Let's get rid of state here. I'm just going to toss this in up at the top. Run that quickly. And let's run this again. Okay, so now you have it. Now we have our word cloud, and you're able to see that basically the news that dominates in the United States is about President Biden and news in Kabul, Afghanistan. As you can also see, vaccinations are a big part of the news. Let's see. Yeah, it's not pretty much. There's not too much else going on here. It's speaking as an American, that's pretty much all the news that I've been hearing. It's everything. It's either Afghanistan or vaccines, COVID-19. That's pretty much the news in the United States lately. So it seems like just from this small set of news sources, we have a pretty good idea of what's going on in the news in the United States. So now that that's finished, very quickly, I'm just going to show you how you can maybe get a little bit creative with the word cloud. Let's go ahead and create a word cloud out of the American flag. So let's go ahead and create a new cell. And let's see, I already imported the necessary libraries. So what we're going to do, you can take any image you like. The image I used is, once it loads, I used a simple American flag. I took it from Britannica.com, I believe. It was this image here. So I took this image, and once it hopefully shows up on the right. Come on. Okay, I don't feel like waiting for this to load. So I took this image. If you want to copy my code exactly, okay, there it is finally. I took this image and saved it, and I saved it as a simple paint image, doesn't matter. So let's go ahead, and what we're going to do is we are going to create a mask, so to speak, kind of a framework in which the program will be able to kind of wrap the text inside and color appropriately. So we're going to create this mask first, and I'm just going to call this, I don't know, frame. And we're going to use numpys, and we're going to use numpys.array. And then we need the image. So image.open. And I just called it USA.ping. You can call it whatever you want. Now, this is a little complicated. I'm not sure exactly how this works. What's going on here? Let's see. Image is not defined. Did I forget something? Oh, that's correct. Actually, we need something else. We need to import pillow, I believe. So I think it's from pil import image. I think this is what I needed. Let's try this. Yeah, there we go. So you'll have to, what you'll have to do is you'll have to import the pillow library if you haven't, and that's just pip install pillow. So you'll need to do this as well. And now that we have that, let's go ahead and create our word cloud. So let me get back here. So what it does is, I believe what this does is it creates a certain matrix of values, and that is the frame in which the word cloud will be able to put the words inside. So we can now go ahead and create our word cloud, and what we're going to do it like this. We're going to set stop words, and let's see, will everything be the same here? Yeah, let's go ahead and just copy this. And I'm just going to modify this a little bit. So instead of 100, let's, I don't know, 500, let's see, background color will be white. Keep this, but we are going to need to add another argument, and that is the mask. And we will set that equal to frame. And let's go to the end. And then we need to be able to create coloring from the image. So we need to get the image colors is equal to image color generator. And we need to put the frame inside there. And now let's go ahead and print our flag. So it's going to be plt.figure. And let's make this a little bigger than the other ones. So fix size. And let's double it. Okay, now we need to add the color scheme to the word cloud. So we're going to type this in, plt.imshow. And then we're going to put inside word cloud recolor. And then it's going to be color underscore func. Color func is equal to image colors that we set before. Oops. Let's fix that. And let's see, we just have to put in the same stuff as before. So plt.axis, set that to off, and let's go ahead and look at our flag. Give it a second to load. Oops. Oh, it's equal, so that's right. There we go. Give it another second here. And there you have it, folks. So we have a word cloud now in the shape of the American flag with the same colors. Pretty cool, huh? All right, so that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you.